Okay, Miss Thing, what gives? Hi, I'm Justin Rhodes. I've taught thousands of people how to grow their own eggs in a more sustainable way. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most popular questions I get. Hey, why are my chickens not laying eggs? Well, there's many reasons, and listen, the definitive answer is out there. Lisa Still, Fresh Eggs Daily, put out an awesome article. I'll leave the link to it below. It's the 20 reasons your chickens aren't laying eggs and what to do about it. Look, I'm not currently having that problem. I emptied the eggs out of there for that intro, but it happens to the best of us. Even me, I've been without eggs. I'll go down this checklist to see what's wrong. Hopefully, we'll go down it continually, even if we're not in problem, to prevent a problem in the first place. Problem number one, not necessarily the number one problem, but we gotta go in some kind of order. Number one, shorter days. Not terribly much you can do about that. A hen needs at least 14-hour days to stimulate that ovary to keep that egg producing on a continual, consistent basis. One solution to that problem is to observe the egg season. Just as the watermelon has a season, so does the egg. Another possible solution, if you must, is supplemental lighting. Now, if you must, let her enjoy her natural rest cycle sequence. Don't do this if you don't have to, but if you do it, you must promise me to put it on a timer and don't go more than 14 hours. Don't give her more than 14 hours of light. Also, have that light automatically come on in the morning, not at night. If they're moving around at night, that light shuts off, they're not gonna know how to get on their perches. If they're already on their perches and the light comes on in the morning, all is good. But I believe in the long run, it's gonna be better just to let them go on their natural cycle. This is what it might look like in the fall, okay? They will actually shed their feathers and begin to grow them back. This one is actually from mating. She's okay, she's just fine, it's all right. But those feathers are gonna grow back in the fall. She's gonna begin to put all her energy into growing back those feathers and you won't get as many eggs. A solution to help her possibly grow those feathers back faster is to provide her some protein sources, like meat scraps or sunflower seeds, something like that. A third possible reason is when the hen goes broody. She's wanting to sit on those eggs. She's not gonna lay eggs during that time, during that 3 to 5 week broodiness time. Here on this homestead, we don't really call it a problem. We set fertilize the eggs under a broody hen, but for some reason it might be bad timing, you might not be breeding your own, it might be bad for you, so in that case, try a couple things. Remove eggs as regularly as possible. In the morning, after everyone's had time to lay their eggs, kick the lady out and block the nest boxes. You may have to do that for a few days to get her out of the habit. And if she persists, you may have to put her in a cage with no bedding material, of course food and water, and do that for 3 days. She'll be cured. Fourth is egg eating. Yes, they will actually eat their eggs. Now you may see evidence of it from yolk being spilled everywhere or left shells, but oftentimes you won't. So to prevent that, you need to make sure they're on a healthy diet. You need especially, they may be eating the eggs because they're needing that calcium, so you need to especially be providing calcium supplement. Hopefully you're feeding back crushed eggshells, and you could provide other calcium supplements. You could offer it free choice like oyster shells or aragonite. Putting in a lot of soft bedding into their nest boxes will help. And go ahead and collect their eggs several times a day if needed until you broke them of the habit. Let me demonstrate another problem. I don't do this, but let's say you had your nesting box at eye level and little Miss Thing's walking around and she's getting bored. Oh my, what am I gonna do? I'm so bored. Oh, that looks interesting. And you see what happens? This is at eye level, she's bored to death, and she attacks them. I personally think that's the number one reason they're eating their own eggs, boredom. So give them plenty of room to move about in the coop, but also, just for insurance, keep these nest boxes above eye level. The fifth possible reason are predators. Not only will snakes, rats, skunks, things like that get your eggs and even your chickens, just the presence of them. Hey, maybe a dog, just the presence of them nearby barking stresses them out, and that stress alone can cause them not to lay. One great solution for that is just keep the coops moving. If you can't keep them moving and you've got a problem with a snake getting in, you're gonna have to cover up any openings you have and keep it to 1/2 inch opening. So using 1/2 inch wire mesh in your open parts of the coop. 1/2 inch wire mesh, see? Mr. Mean Old Snake can't get through that. The sixth possible problem is that you might have an egg-bound hen. An older hen or otherwise unhealthy hen could become egg-bound, and that can be potentially fatal. That's when an egg gets stuck in the oviduct. Some possible solutions to that problem: ration their feed to prevent obesity. No more than 1/3 pound of food a day. Make sure they have plenty of natural green feed. Offer free choice calcium to prevent soft-shelled eggs. Provide plenty of room for your chickens for exercise. And avoid using supplemental light in your coop that messes with their system. Overcrowding can cause chickens to slow down in egg productions. It's just too stressful. Make sure they have at least 3 square feet inside the coop and at least 10 square feet outside the coop. And remember, those are just minimums. The 8th possible reason you aren't getting eggs is mixing the flock, like introducing a new flock member or taking someone out. That just messes with the pecking order. They got to reestablish that. Usually that's minor, but also when you put in a brand new lady to a whole different situation, maybe from a different farm or something, that might take a little longer until she begins to lay eggs. The solution is time. One thing you can do to soften up that transition is move the chickens at night. Move the new member in or take the old one out at night. Another reason you may not be getting eggs is because you've made a change in the nesting box area. You've moved it around or something like that, or you moved the flock to a new coop. They need time to adjust to those kinds of things. So the only solution I could tell you is just try not to disturb that if you don't have to. And then if you do, try to make all the changes at once. A 10th reason is that your chicken is ill or has disease. The solution to that problem is try to prevent it in the first place by observing the flock on a regular basis. Separate the sick bird out and give her magic water, which is some apple cider vinegar, honey, and pressed garlic, and some water and some fermented feed. You can actually do that on a semi-regular basis, maybe once a week. Put some apple cider vinegar in their water, give them some fermented feed. That'll go a long way to preventing it in the first place. Extreme heat can cause them not to lay. They like it anywhere between 50 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Solutions to that problem are providing plenty of shady areas for them to retreat from the sun, having an airy coop at night, plenty of ventilation, and providing plenty of cool, clean water. Now, just as extreme heat will keep them out of lay, so will extreme cold. One solution to help you with that is to throw out a portion of their feed towards the afternoon, evening, so they have something to digest. That keeps them warm at night. The 13th possible reason is lack of ventilation. Maybe your coop's static and you've got some ammonia buildup in there. Maybe your coop's mobile and you just don't have enough ventilation. A good rule of thumb is 1/5 of the coop should be open for ventilation. And if you're in a static coop, meaning they're there all the time and maybe some smells are building up, you need to constantly add organic matter to the deep bedding. Hopefully you're doing deep bedding. Just add more as hopefully before you smell it, so on a regular basis. But definitely if you're smelling bad smells, there's some poor management going on, and if your coop's mobile, you need to move it, and if it's static, you need to add deep bedding. Another reason is feed. Maybe it's a poor quality feed, lack thereof. Maybe they have a calcium deficiency or protein deficiency. Let's start with your feed base, the commercial feed. I like New Country Organics. If you can't afford organics, Sunrise Farms in Virginia, those are some of the places I've used in the past. I like feed that you can actually recognize. And you can read the ingredients list and it's not crazy long, and you can actually pronounce the words. Provide them plenty of greens and don't hesitate to feed them your food scraps. Overfeeding can be a problem too. It actually works back. You think, oh, let's give them all they can eat. No, they don't need more than 1/3 pound total a day. Grains, animal proteins, greens. In total, they don't need more than 1/3 pound. So ration out their food. Next, lack of water. This can be a big one. If they go 24 hours without water, it's serious. They can go 24 days without laying eggs. It's serious. You don't want this to happen. Just a few hours without water can affect their egg production. So keep them in cool, clean water. If you go away at work, you might want to have some extra waters out just in case they knock one over. Give them plenty of water so they're not all vying for it. Clean out the waters regularly. Use a vinegar and water mix if need to get some of the crud off of it. Free-ranging can also cause problems. They run off and hide their eggs, and it's like an Easter egg hunt, finding their eggs, and you may not be able to. A solution to that problem, if you can, is let the chickens out after they've laid their eggs. So keep them in the fence, and then at mid-morning, late morning, let them out into the free range. They've already laid their eggs in the coop, and now they're allowed to go and get food off the land. Another reason you might not have eggs is because they've hidden them even inside the coop. Look, I have a little crib to keep the big girls out and the little guys able to go in there and eat. But look, if you look over in that corner, here, I'll open it up real quick. There's a couple eggs in there. That's from our cream leg bar, who is still small enough to go in there and lay. Look under the coop. That's under the coop. They've made a nest in there and laid there. I've actually found eggs in this before. Oh wait, there's one right there. See? And this looks like a possible spot. Of course, there's not one here right now, but it may be a possibility. It's here under this tree. It's behind that rock. I wouldn't be surprised. One solution to that is if they're actually laying in a reasonable place, just work with them. I mean, you can move the nest there. Like the eggs in the chicken crib there, that's really no problem, okay? So I'm just gonna let it be. If it is a problem and you've got to solve it, I encourage you to gather those eggs quickly so she feels like that's maybe not a safe place to lay eggs. Also, you could put fake eggs in the nesting box where you want her eggs to be, and maybe because of the fake eggs are there, she feels like, oh, this is a safe place. Nobody's getting my eggs. This is a safe place to lay a bunch of eggs and have chicks. That's ultimately what they're wanting to do. So you could try that. 19th reason, guys. Only one after this. She may not be laying for you because she's old. After 2.5 years, their production gets cut in half. So she'll still produce eggs for her entire life, up to 8 years, but the production gets cut drastically. The best solution for that is continually add these guys, little guys to come up and to begin producing in a high productive manner. I said guys, you know, they're gals. The final possible reason I'm gonna cover is stress. Look, a chicken is looking for a safe place to lay and hatch chicks, whether you're doing that or not. That's in her instinct. So if there's any stress around, a barking dog, crazy children, any of that kind of thing can affect their egg production, just the stress alone. So try to eliminate or lessen those stresses as much as possible. Maybe you need to reconsider where the chickens are. Maybe they need moved around more regularly. Maybe they need to be moved to a different part of the yard, something like that. Just keep her feeling safe and she'll be a happy, productive hen. Okay, that's 20 possible reasons. I think that's pretty exhaustive, don't you? I think this is a good video to reference in the future. Maybe you have a problem, go down this checklist. Hey, and even use it on a regular basis to keep them in lay, to prevent the problem from happening in the first place. Now, this was taken from an original article from Lisa Still, Fresh Eggs Daily. Again, I'll leave the link to that in the description below.